Hello, my name is Nadeem Iqbal. Uh, I'm going to talk to you about uh, the presentation which I've prepared for this CNBT 2342 class. The Here are some of the slides that I just want to share with you all. The CNBT 2342 is for construction management, and my biography is that I've worked for 27 years at world's largest oil company, Saudi Aramco, which included 16 years in project management at Saudi Aramco. I'm an electrical engineer with a post-graduation in computer science from Western Michigan University. I have worked at Dow Chemical in Texas for about 5 years, and then after working at Dow Chemical in research and development, I moved to Saudi Aramco in 1995. I'm certified in SAP Business Intelligence, and I also hold a PMP certification. The textbook for this course is Construction Project Administration 10th edition. And here is the title of the book. It's better to get the book and read through it. You can get an electronic version of the book, but it's not mandatory. You can just look at my videos, and from there you can also learn a lot. And I will also send you some of the slides, and you can go through the slides as well as the lectures. I definitely recommend that you watch these lectures, because in the lectures I'll provide you with some of the questions that may come even in the exam. So the attendance is indirectly beneficial to you through the lectures. We will have one quiz, one midterm, then there would be another quiz number 2 and a final. The weightage would be 30% weightage for the quizzes, 30% for the midterm, and 40% for the total. You need to keep looking at the Canvas, and I'll keep updating any information I want to share with you. Also, it is very important that you check your emails. I will reach out to you through emails. So if you have any questions, you can send me an email, or you can send me a text message and at my phone number. My phone number is on the Canvas. So just text me, or as I said, send me an email, and we can then communicate with each other if and when required. The grade points would be: A grade would be from 90 to 100, B 80 to 89, C 70 to 79, D 60 to 69. What is a project? A project is anything with a start and end date. A project could be as small as building a swimming pool in the house, as small as building a house itself, or as big as building a refinery or a dam. The project delivery system consists of uh, flow of information. The flow of information would be from the owner, project manager, to the design department, construction department, resident project representative. There would be design engineers and general or prime contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers. The owner of the project could be the customer. He's the owner. He's the one who wants to, for example, build a refinery. And so he assigns a project manager. The project manager has two entities working for him: a construction department and a design department. Construction department does the construction work, and the design department is going to do the designing and engineering. So in the design departments, you're going to have design engineers. while in the construction department, there is a resident project representative, and he is a representative of the project manager, and that representative then reaches out to a general or prime contractor to get the work done. Now, each one of the general or prime contractors, they might have subcontractors, they would have material suppliers, fabricators, all of them, they work for the contractor. So overall, the project delivery system looks like this. Control of quality in construction. Whether the subject is called quality control or quality assurance, the function performed is essentially that which has been recognized over the years as being the construction, inspection, and testing of the material and workmanship to see that the work meets the requirements of the drawings. So primarily the quality control is done to ensure that the work has been done according to the specification and the standards of the drawings. That's what quality control is. The organizational structure of a construction project is the owner, the design or construction manager, then he's going to have a construction management team. He would also have an architect or an engineer design team working for him. And the construction management team would then have prime contractors, multiple prime contractors. There are certain scenarios when the owner, he is directly owns, and since he's the owner, he might have go himself directly to the prime contractor and get the work done. But in certain scenarios, the owner has within his organization, he has a structure like this, and they represent the owner in getting the job done from the prime contractor. Construction management company. The construction management company has no direct connection with either the architect or engineer firm that designs the project or the general contracting firm that constructs it. So this is like a third party, an entity which is just responsible for the management. You see, they don't have a direct relationship with the designer or the construction company. Fast track construction. Frequently, a construction management contract is encountered that requires the award and administering of multiple construction contracts for the same project, with each award at different times during the life of the project. Such staggered award of construction contracts on the same project is referred to as fast track. Fast track meaning, like, since you want to complete the project at a very fast pace, so you award the projects for different segments, and you award to different contractors. Some of that work could be overlapping with each other, and so the work could be done in parallel. However, in such scenarios, which are fast track scenarios, then you have to have an integration of the work done by different contractors. There could be long lead items that you could order ahead of time so that the project could be done fast-tracked. Design build contracts. Initially, the design and construction is done by the same company. Now, the definition allows contracts with engineering companies who subcontract the construction portion to a construction contractor. So these are companies, they do the engineering, and when it comes to the construction, they reach out to another construction company and do a subcontract with them to build the design that they have developed. Or it could be vice versa. It could be that the construction contractors, they get the project and then they subcontract the design work to an engineer. Project manager. A project manager is usually the person who is responsible for management of all phases of the project for his or her organization. So he or she is the main responsible person. For a design firm, the project manager controls the scheduling, budgeting, cost control, coordination of design and construction, letting of contracts for the owner, and is normally the sole contract with the client as a representative of the design firm. So for the design firm's project manager, he is representative of the design firm, and he is the single point of contact for the design company. Construction manager. The professional construction manager cover a broad range of activities, and to some extent, it overlaps those traditional performed by both the architect, engineer, and the construction contractor, involving both the design and construction phases of the project. So this professional construction manager, he's covering all aspects of the project. So he is overall responsible for the architectural work and construction work, and kind of responsible for the construction of the project. Contractors engineering department. In the engineering department of the contractor, it consists of a president, it could be the president of that engineering company, and then they would have a chief engineer, they have chief estimators, office engineering, then they have operations manager, division engineer, then different project managers for different projects. Within the project manager, he has project engineers who report to the project manager. So in a contractor's engineering department, which you have chief engineers, then there is operations manager, who takes care of the everyday operations. Then you have estimator who estimates the amount of materials required for that specific project. Then you have project manager. So because there are multiple projects that are reporting to this chief engineer. So each project manager has project engineers. He has project engineering staff who are doing the design work, and that's how a contractor's engineering department is structured. Scope of work in a contract is very important. One has to clearly define the scope of the services to be performed in the contract with the owner. Without such definition, there are often claims and disputes between the architect and engineer. So the scope of work has to be clearly defined. There should be no ambiguity. If there is ambiguity, then the requirements could be different, and the engineer could design the project in a different way than what the client is expecting, and eventually the construction company is going to base their construction on the design. So the scope of work has to be clearly defined. Contracting for public work projects. If you are low bidder on your first public project, you probably made a serious mistake in your bid. The contract documents were written for a reason. So just to be a low bidder does not imply that you are going to be successful, because you might have made a mistake. You might have misunderstood the project, because the public projects are very big and the scope is very wide. And you need to look at the contract documents, the requirements you have to understand. You have to understand the scope. Your estimator should be good to estimate the cost, and then you do the bid. If you are low bidding, then you might end up losing that project financially as well as commercially, and you might not be able to complete the project. And in certain cases, these companies go bankrupt. Responsibility and authority. There's lines of authority on construction projects. Almost all construction projects involve organizations. The participant, owner, contractor, subcontractor, and suppliers, they are not individuals. These are corporations, partnership, and they form business associations. So all these entities that I'm referring as a contractor, it's a company. Subcontractor is not an individual, it's a company. Supplier it's a company. So all these corporations, they work together and to have a construction project completed on time and within the budget. Provisions in the contract. They establish actual authority in the contract with a specific individual. Do not designate a position, job title, or group of group of individuals. Disclaim any apparent authority and establish administrative procedure consistent with the disclaimer language. So establish actual authority in connection with the specific individual. So you have to be very specific in the contracts. If there is an authority, so you have to specify a specific authority to be approached. For example, as an example, if you're on a you're putting together a contract, and so you have to very explicitly mention that if the contractor needs more information, that contracting company is going to reach out to the company representative, the site representative from the client, so that there is no ambiguity. Any disclaimers of apparent authority and any procedures that are required to be followed in case of an issue should be explicitly mentioned in the contract. Do not give designated representative the right to further delegate the authority. So if you have assigned a responsibility to a specific person or specific entity within the project, then don't give that entity authority to further delegate, because then it's going to be complicated. So if you have mentioned that your site representative, your project PMT representative, project management team representative working on the project site is responsible for certain things, then don't let that project management team to further delegate the authority. So that PMT representative is the focal point. Authority and responsibility of the resident project representative. As the resident project representative for a design firm or owner, the resident engineer or inspector is responsible for seeing that the work being inspected is constructed in accordance with the requirements of the plans and specifications. So it is the responsibility of the resident project engineer representative to ensure that the construction that is being done is as per the plans and specification. Inspector must become thoroughly familiar with the plans and specification. The representative or the inspector, they should be fully familiar with the specification. If any material or portion of the work does not confirm the requirements, the inspector should notify the contractor and explain why it does not conform. So the inspector needs to continuously keep an eye on the quality of the work done, the material which is coming to the project site. Authority. As a member of the construction team, the inspector must perform all duties in a manner that will promote the progress of the work. The inspector should have the authority to approve materials and workmanship that meet the contract requirements and should promptly give approvals where necessary. The inspector should not be given the authority to order the contractor to stop operation. So that project management team representative has the authority to control to watch out for the quality of the material, but that person does not have the authority to stop the work. Stopping work is very expensive for the project because it's going to cost time off, standby time. It will cost inconsistency of different operations. So the company representative does not have the authority to do that. Rather, that company representative should escalate it to the higher authorities and then let them take that decision. Under no circumstances should the circle inspector attempt to direct the contractor's work. Otherwise, the contractor may be relieved of his responsibility. So the inspector is not going to direct the work. He is not going to tell the contractor how to do the job. If he starts instructing the contractor, then the responsibility of the work will be not on the contractor. The contractor would say down the road, I did the way you told me to do, so I'm not responsible for the loss. Resident project representatives responsibility includes setting up a field office, such as the basic requirements concerning setting up of a field office for the resident project representatives. It includes things like field office furnishing, utility, janitorial services, telephone, all these setup a resident project rep is supposed to take care. He needs to be familiar with the construction documents. Upon being engaged to provide resident inspection on a project, the resident project representative and inspector should obtain a complete set of all documents, including contract documents, standard drawings, specification, and copies of the reference specification and standards or tests cited. So he should have copies of all those documents, because those documents is going to be the basis for all the work, and the resident project representative should be familiar with those documents. Early in the project, a complete list should be compiled in a chronological order that shows the dates on which each milestone event is project to take place. So there should be a clear milestone on what is going to be done and which date. Equipping the field office, several desks, chairs, and conference table, one or more plan tables and drafting stools, plan rack or stick file, 4 or 5 drawer filing cabinets, telephone service, bookcase, water power, and lights. Most of these items might not be specified, normally be specified to be furnished by the and thus would be included in his or her bid. So the contractor, all these requirements of the equipping the field office are part of the contract. So these need to be specified in the contract so that they are provided, and the contractor is going to insert these items in their bid. Why are bid bonds required? A bid bond is a legal agreement that ensures contractors fulfill their stated obligation. It is submitted after receiving notice of award, but before owner signs the agreement. So it's important to note that it is submitted after receiving notice of award, but before owner signs the agreement. Bid bonds are usually submitted in conjunction with the project's contract. This form of assurance provides both financial recourse to the owner of the project. So these bid bonds are provided so that if the contractor backs off from his work, so there is a way to hold him responsible financially. Bid bonds are backed by specified surety company guarantees the payments will be made if the contractor uphold their end of the bargain. Establishment of the communication is very critical. Invest in some means of direct communication with the resident project engineer all the time, because if the communication is not correct, end of the day, the project will be either incomplete or it will be done incorrectly. Handling job-related information. Field communication is a term that must also be applied to the process for handling and transmitting job-related information from one party to the other. The determination of who is authorized to receive and give project information, routing of the information to all communication records and submittals. So handling job-related information, the field communication is equally critical. Who will be informed what? You don't disseminate information to everyone. You only provide information to the relevant authorities. Routing of submittals. In the projects, the subcontractor or suppliers or fabricators, they interact with the general contractors or prime contractors. They submit the general contract, subcontractor provide to the general contractor, they submit to the resident project representative any documents, and then the resident project representative, it passes it on to the project manager. Project manager reaches out to the design engineer and reviewer, and that's how it comes back. So routing procedures for receiving submittals from the contractor, for contractor submitted being returned to the contractor. So that's how you get the submittals from the prime contractor to the project manager, and by the design and then reviewed by design engineer, and it goes back. Staffing responsibilities. Generally, on small projects of 1 million or less, a single on-site representative may all be necessary. On certain type of larger projects, however, consideration must be given to employing several persons at the site full-time. So on small projects, yes, you can have one site representative, but on multiple site representatives are required for who are required to work full-time on bigger projects. Construction safety is very critical, and I'll address more construction safety in the upcoming lectures. But for now, I'll let you know that the resident project representative's involvement in construction safety is limited, and that the general contractor has the principal responsibility for all construction safety compliance. So the construction contractor is primarily responsible for the safety of the project. It is not the resident project representative. Resident project representative keeps an eye whether the safety is being followed or not, but the responsibility is with the construction contractor. Some of the responsibilities are as follows: review of the contractor's accident preview program that is required by the local OSHA compliance agency, a code of safe practices developed by the contractor and checked by the inspector, various permits that may be required. So that those permits need to be checked by the company representatives, and reporting of fatal accidents or disabling accidents, and the local safety compliance required. Development of an inspection plan is also another responsibility. An inspection plan for submittal to the owner agency might reasonably be expected to cover all or some of the following items: establishment of detailed inspection procedures, outline of acceptance or rejection procedures, preparation of chart showing all tests required. So inspection plan needs to be developed, and in that inspection program plan, all milestones should be determined, that at which gates the inspections would be done, and what is the criteria of accepting of some work, and what is the criteria of rejecting some work. All these should be explicitly put in the inspection plan. Other job responsibility of a site rep include construction planning and scheduling, contractors plant and equipment checking, measurements of progress payments, how much payments have been made or not, and to see the quantities of materials and equipment delivered to the site or used in the work agree with the quantities for which the contractor had requested payment. Because the contractor might say, I am going to buy machinery, but it's the responsibility of the site representative to ensure that the machinery has been bought. Filing of the notices and certificates. Although the filing of legal notices is primarily the responsibility of the owner, that job may be delegated to the resident project representative or the project manager. So any legal notices that the owner might give to the contractor, they might also come through the site representative. And also the evaluation of construction materials and methods, that is also done by the resident project engineer. RFI, the request for information. One of the most frequent contributor to construction delay claims is the handling or mishandling of contractor generated requests for information or clarification. If you're operating an electronic project management program, RFI can be sent through the database or a flow route to return route determined by the owner or architect. So request for information if it's an electronic project management system, it goes through the system to among different entities. Yeah, I have some questions over here which you need to consider and try to answer those questions. Think about them, read the book, and try to answer these questions. Some of these questions might come in the quizzes or in the final exam. In each diary kept by the owner or an engineer or contractor's personal entries should be made to document every working day, whether any work is performed or not, or even if you did not go to the project site that day. only if something of particular importance is happening. C, regularly each time that you visit a site, work is being done. However, no entry need to be made. So think about this question, think about an answer. Diary is necessary, not desirable on the construction. Answers could be that read the book, you will see the answer in the book, or browse through the My Material. If a dispute arises in the field between the owner or engineer, resident, project representative, and the contractor superintendent, the parties should remain at the location of the project site, move the discussion to a location in the field office, move to a location inside the field office, refuse to discuss the matter at all. When testing and sampling materials for a project, the owner/engineer's project representative should do the following: work for the quality assurance requirement, disregard the tests, develop a sampling and test plan, conduct sampling and testing based upon the practical experience. In order to remember important project dates, it is desirable to tabulate and flag project milestones, have a subordinate remind you at the date, rely solely upon memory. Wait for contractor to discover. Submittal of bonds and insurance certificates should be submitted by the bidder to whom the contract has been awarded. A, at the time of submitting the bid, after receiving the notice, after receiving the notice to proceed, or after receiving notice to award. Thank you. More slides will follow in my additional lectures. It's important that you read the book and study it. So the book combined with my slides and combined with my lecture is going to help you with your exams. Thank you. As I said earlier, if you have questions, send me an email or a text message. I prefer an email to be sent, but in the subject, mention the course number. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye.